their kids as pawns too. Refusing to get your kids because you're worried about what their mom is doing in her free time is using them as a pawn. Trying to put their mom's life on hold by making things harder, half doing stuff, and picking and choosing is pawn behavior. Men be bitter too, but y'all not ready for that convo.
Hey YouTube, you have made your way back to Mind Your Mind with Just Justified. And you saw the thumbnail, so let's jump right in. So for so long, we have heard of this term, bitter baby mamas, right? And though I do not discount that there are women who are out there that make it very difficult for some men to be in their children's lives, I cannot ignore the bitter baby daddies that run amok in the lives of their children and the mothers of their children. So here's our first video.
Worse than a bitter baby mama is a bitter baby daddy, because them men won't see their kids to prove a point. They will allow their kid to suffer. Let you set a boundary they don't like. Hey, listen, you can't have access to my time or my attention. If they don't like it, they ain't coming, because they secretly mad you moving on. You found a new man, or you ain't tolerating they bullshit no more. In some of these bitter baby daddies' minds, their relationship with you, or the lack thereof, dictates the relationship they have with their fucking kid. You make them mad, they don't pick up their kid because they want to punish you. And before y'all say bitter baby daddies are a rarity, every deadbeat is a bitter baby daddy. I get it. You didn't want this kid. She chose to keep it. You didn't like her. You was just having sex with her. But guess what bitter baby daddies will do? Go deadbeat. Tell me I'm lying.
So, there are no circumstances where you should accept not seeing your child. You have just as much rights to your child as the mother. It is worth the fight if you have to go to court. That is your legacy. I frequently hear men use the excuse that mothers are mostly given custody, which is incorrect when you come down to these factors. If you are in your child's life and did not abandon them, you have just as much rights as she does, and most likely can get 50-50. But what usually seems to be the case is that custody is usually established outside of the court, and then some men will just not contest the child staying in the mother's home. And of course, I am not talking about the toxic individuals, whether men or women, who are determined to make the process difficult. The relationship with the mother, or lack thereof, should not dictate the father's involvement in the child's life. The child needs to come first. And I know in some cases it's definitely easier said than done. But here is another video of a man breaking it down for us.
Use their kids as pawns too. Refusing to get your kids because you're worried about what their mom is doing in her free time is using them as a pawn. Trying to put their mom's life on hold by making things harder, half doing stuff, and picking and choosing is pawn behavior. Men be bitter too, but y'all not ready for that convo.
Yep. So, I've heard those excuses around social media too, where Some men are so invested in what the mother is doing, where she is spending the child support money, or who she is dating, more than they are interested in the well-being of their child. And here is a real-time testament of a woman dealing with a deadbeat, a bitter baby daddy. All right, here we go.
A stereotype of the bitter baby mama, and she does petty things, and she'll refuse to let the dad see the kid, and doesn't want the dad to move on. But I don't hear many people talk about the bitter baby daddy. The fact that there are men who do those very same things. When my kids were younger, when it was time for my kids to go with their dad, they went with their dad.
And honestly, like, sometimes as a mom, you may need the break. So I don't understand what the logic is behind that sometimes for some of these women, other than, being bitter. So
the whole time without interference or interruption from me. Now that my kids are older, they don't want to go over there as much as they used to, but that's the consequences of his own actions. But I digress. Now, their dad would do things like refuse to return them to me when his time was up. He would bombard them with phone calls and texts when they were supposed to be with me. He wouldn't do any fun stuff or anything when they were with him. But every time they were with me, that's when he had to show up at their school and do fun stuff. That's when he wanted to sign them up for activities when they were supposed to be with me. My attitude is, I don't care who you date as long as they treat my kids with love and respect. But he was always the petty one who was always all up in my business. He constantly tried to schedule things to do with them when they were supposed to be with me, not during his visitation. It got to the point where we had to get court documents drawn up that said, hey, if you want to do fun stuff and sign them up for stuff, it better be on your time. And it shouldn't have to be like that. But when you're dealing with a narcissistic person, my ex was abusive, you have to take those extra steps. It's not a normal situation where you guys can just sit and talk it out. It's not like that. Trust me, I would have loved for it to have been like that. He would always tell people that I was crazy and that I was an unfit parent. He even went as far as to call Child Protective Services to investigate me. They came to my job, they came to my kid's school, and they found nothing. Absolutely nothing. And whenever I was in public at a school function with the kids, he would constantly find me and harass me to tell me what a horrible mom I was, and he's so concerned and the kids should just stay with him. And don't tell me I should have got a restraining order. People like that don't give a shit about restraining orders and paperwork. So yeah, women can be toxic, women can be bitter, but dads can too. So it's time that we take that stigma off of the baby mother, off of the ex-wife. That man tortured me for years until my kids finally got their own cell phones. And now they're at the age where they just don't really go and see him that much because they finally saw how he was. But again, consequences of your own actions.
Yeah, there was no denying that was difficult. And parenting needs parents in their healthiest states. As healthy as possible, so it's unfortunate that when parents make it a difficult situation, and then sometimes, especially when you're dealing with narcissistic types, it's not even a co-parenting situation. It is a parallel parenting situation. And that in itself is difficult. So it is already a difficult situation that the home is already broken. So why complicate it even more? We need to take selfishness out of the equation when we choose to procreate. Being a bitter baby daddy or a bitter baby mama is a choice. And the only people who get like the blunt of it all are the children. Like, you got to put self aside, however you feel, whatever is the healthiest environment, even if you choose not to be together, whatever is the healthiest environment for that child. Put self aside. It doesn't matter what your baby daddy, baby mama is doing. It's all about the child. So I do have a mindful moment excerpt from the dadsrc.org. So I'm guessing it's dadsrc.org. So I do have something from that today. All right, so this is from the dadsrc.org, and it says primary caregiving presumption. Most times at the point of separation, fathers defer to the mother as the primary caregiver. This ends up putting them at a disadvantage because courts often presume the parent who has been the primary caregiver is better suited for custody. Fathers need to have this in mind when the separation occurs. So, fathers, if you are in this situation and you are dealing with someone who is even making it difficult for you, it is very important that you stay consistent in that child's life, because that's usually what will factor in the court case if it goes to court. So just keep that in mind as you go along. But guys, we have to mind who we have children with. We need to take more care about it, put more thought into it, put more planning, build more foundations. I'm pro marriage, so if that's not for you, but for me, that family, the nucleus family and everything, that's important, and we need to put more effort in to have healthier homes for these children. All right, well, that's all I got. I will see you in the next one. Don't forget, you either control your mind or it controls you. Mind your mind. All right, peace.